Today, I have with me Rande Howell. Randy has been an incredible person in my life, in my trading journey. He has been a mentor. Randy is a trader psychologist. He has 15 years as a licensed therapist and performance coach as well. Also an author. And I worked with Randy a couple of years back at a critical point in my trading journey when I really needed guidance. I really needed to take my trading to the next level. And there were just certain things that I was struggling with that I couldn't overcome. And, with the work that I did with Randy and the guidance, I felt it's transformed essentially. And today I normally don't bring anyone on the channel. Normally it's more of an educational style, but, this is an individual that I felt that, could part with a lot of knowledge in terms of how you can take your trading to the next level, because trading is very psychological. And here at LiveFree Effects, our slogan is where the mind meets the market. And today I am bringing someone to cover that mind, the mental aspect of trading. Randy, thanks for being on here today.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm really honored. I'm very honored to be your first guest. It's like, wow.
Thank you for coming. What I want to essentially just talk about here is, uh, I know who you are and what you've done for me, and the work that we've done together for a lot of traders who are in the trading industry. And they might not know who you are, because I've been trading now for the last 8 years, and you've been around way longer than that. I think I found you my first or second year into trading. So just give us a little background story here. How did you end up as a trader psychologist and become the well respected Randy that you are today?
Well, it started out innocently enough is that I was doing a spiritual retreat at an Episcopal church, and it just so happens that I had no idea what it meant to go on an Episcopal retreat. They do a lot of drinking, Emmanuel. It's
Mm.
just unbelievable. And the next morning, I did my little piece, and not many people showed up because I can imagine that they were a little hungover. But one guy was there, and he really enjoyed the piece I did and stuff like that. And we started talking, and he said, "I now understand that you're a performance coach, also." I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, I'm having problems in my business, and so I'm wondering if you might be able to help me." And I said, "Well, what's your business?" And he says, "Well, I've got a couple partners in a hedge fund." And I looked at him, this is 15, 17 years ago, and says, "What's a hedge fund?" And that was my introduction to trading psychology. And out of that, though, is that this guy and I started working together, and he he resolved the kind of problems he was having in working with uncertainty and having a brain that has to engage uncertainty. And then he started referring people to me. And what I discovered about traders is that they tend to be a highly motivated group. And I, at that time, was a licensed therapist, and I was working with clinical population, and they're not nearly as motivated. And also, insurance companies were making managed care was making it very difficult for therapists to make money. And suddenly, we started looking and got these guys who really just said, "Help me, help me, help me," and would pay good money. And we started noticing that most of our business, the profitability of our business, was over with the traders and not with the clinical practice. And so eventually, I decided, I'm all in, and it's been a real journey since then. And I can't say that I'm the one that's done um, all the education, because I've ultimately learned a lot. And fundamentally, what I've learned with traders has been the opening of a really great truth, and it's called the brain on uncertainty. And I realized that in regular life, you're going to have to face that ordeal anyway, but you can ignore it, you can deny it, you can do all that. But in trading, you're face to face with it every day. There's no avoidance of it. And that's what I like about working with traders, is that if you think you're in control, go trade for a while. And, you come to the moment of, you realize the brain that you brought to trading, no matter how great it's been and whatever it's done, whether or not it's made a lot of money, done all this stuff, climbed the corporate ladder, when you get to trading, everything that you know about winning and losing has to be re-examined, and most of it has to be thrown out the door. Is you have no control over winning or losing, and it doesn't matter whether or not you hate losing or not. You're going to have to become really, really good at it. So you're literally taking 6.5 million years of evolution, and you're saying we're going to turn and twist this around, and we're going to shape it into a very different brain that produces a mind that is not about controlling outcome. It is about controlling the performance that you have in a particular moment. That's been the big deal, and that's also what young traders, just simply they don't grasp yet. They keep thinking the holy grail's out there, and it's right here.
That's something that I personally even struggled with for a huge part of my trading. And I know that a lot of traders struggle with that, is trying to predict. We're building a certain skill as traders, which is, to be able to anticipate or predict where price is going to go. So as a byproduct of that, you now become someone who, what outcome am I getting? What outcome am I getting? What can I do that will get me the right outcome in the market? And what the shift that happened after we worked together was just more of, it's the process
Yes.
that matters. The process, it's not the outcome that matters, because you can't control the outcome. So but the thing is, it takes a lot to learn that. Like you said, you literally have to go through a relearning, unlearning, and
Yeah, you
relearning.
do. You do have to, and you have to be highly motivated, because it's a winning mindset in trading is so completely different than a winning mindset like in sales and management, and it's very common for me to come across alphas who have done extraordinarily well either in corporate work or in business. They come into training, they have trading, and they have a success formula. They know how to win. They know how to make things happen, and they get there and use that same thing that has been so successful, and it blows them up. It has them over trading them, it has them blowing up substantial assets. And it's hard for them to relearn that winning is really just landing on the right side of probability relative to you. And losing is only landing on the wrong side of probability relative to you. And you control neither, but what you've got when you do all that analysis is what you have is you have an hypothesis, you have a guess that highly likely it's not going to be right. And if it's not right, you need to get the hell out of the trade at a small loss so that you live it and trade another day. And we are so transfixed on being right that we don't see that that's not the way trading works. What you're doing is you're saying, what is the market willing to give me? And, out of that, that's when you start realizing that, yeah, I'm going to have to reshape this mind. It's a totally alien. I'm taking a creature. I mean, understand, not too many millions of years ago, our ancestors were on the African savannas trying to avoid being eaten by saber-toothed cats. Okay. We have evolved into, the lions, tigers, and bears are all gone. However, in our caveman brain, they're still there. And every time that you engage uncertainty, every time that you risk capital, we don't understand what's really going on. To our thinking brain, oh, this is risk reward, blah, 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 blah. No, to your caveman brain, to that emotional brain, that if you took $1 million and put it down in front of a caveman, he would have no idea what gift he had been given. He'd go, what am I going to do with this? But he doesn't understand money. But what he does understand is the power of survival. And in trading, to you intellectually, you're thinking risk reward. To you, the emotional being, you're thinking threat and opportunity. When you have a trade start going against you, unless you've trained yourself, you feel threatened. You feel as though that saber-toothed cat's coming after you, and you're going to trigger yourself to fight to your last breath. Revenge trading. Okay. Same time, over trading. You see an opportunity, you get all cranked up, and you jump in, and find out that, wow, there are casualties here. And Emmanuel, I use a photo, I use a painting of a group of cave people attacking a woolly mammoth. Now, a woolly mammoth is about 10 times the size of an African elephant. It's huge, and it has these gigantic tusks. And what you do is you look at these men getting all cranked up. They're ready to go. They're ready to, and if they take down that woolly mammoth, their village is taken care of for a while. They get tremendous status. They get first dibbies. They also get breeding rights. So it's a big deal. Okay. The problem is you have to get really cranked up like that because you're going to have to go enter an irrational amount of risk. Okay. And a lot of the people who attack that elephant are not coming back, but they get cranked up enough. And that's what overtrading is. You see it, you jump in and you think that you think you're going to live. You think you have a bulletproof raincoat. And of course you don't. That's delusion. So you begin to see that again, it's really retraining everything. And again, recognizing that the one thing that you actually do control is the emotional cocktail that brings forth the mind that engages uncertainty. That's where the magic is. That's where your psychology then develops an edge that allows your methodology to actually extract the capital out of markets. But it comes with it. There has to be a psychological edge there that is, and usually because of trading's probability nature, not certainty nature, you're going to have to build that. You're going to have to build that mindset. It's not going to come natural at all.
Absolutely. And I now understand the concept of having a psychology plan. And that's something that I talk about because when I was coming up in, the training education, I spent a lot of money, buying courses, learning from different people. And it was kind of like, all of these things I'm getting, but like, I feel like I'm missing the juice. And no one talked about the importance of having a strategy and having a trade plan, as we like to say. But in addition to having a trade plan, having a psychology plan. What are you going to do? How are you going to prepare yourself to the day? Because a lot of traders, and this was myself included, up until our work together, was oftentimes wake up, roll out of bed, jump into the market, and expecting a positive outcome.
With any old mind that happened to have shown up at waking up and going in
That
there. Yeah, I know.
exactly,
Woo!
exactly. Whatever
Tom
happened.
Brady. Tom Brady doesn't do that, by the way.
No, no, no professional, no
No.
anything high level requires some sort of mental preparation and some level of discipline. And now the things that I engage in is waking up and meditating and doing trading meditations. And that's a lot of stuff that I even preach in my channels. And it's because I think that's really important. Meditation is huge for me. I've used meditations at different parts of my life, visualization and all that stuff. So the work that we did in regards to that was very, very powerful. And I think that the trading game is one of the most challenging things out there that we can actually go out and do.
Oh, I
So
promise. I promise it is.
exactly. Now, the question that I have for you is, I found you at at an early stage in my trading journey, right?
Hmm.
And I remember I was still, I had a call with you. I was living in a $500 apartment at the time. I was in college. And I was like, hey, man, like, I didn't have the money to work with you, to be honest. It was like, I can't afford this guy. But I knew it was something that I needed to do, right? And so for a trader who is coming into the market as a beginner trader, right? We know that psychology is something that you have to work. You have to work on. It's
Mm-hmm.
just as important as your technical, more important than your technical. At what point would you say a trader should start to focus on their trading psychology? And what are some of the things that they can start doing just on, like on a basic level, even,
Yeah.
right?
Here's what I've found. This isn't necessarily what I would like to report, but what I have found, this is the reality of working with traders, is that it generally takes somewhere between 2 and 5 years for a hard-headed, knuckle-headed trader to wake up and realize that what he's doing is not gonna work,
Mm,
okay? Until that moment occurs that they actually are looking for a teacher, realizing that, you know something, I'm draining a lot of money, I'm leaving a lot of money on the table. How long is my spouse going to allow me to do this stuff? And you finally come to that moment of going, I need help.
mhm,
Until that moment occurs, I really don't. There's no reason for me to waste time on a person.
mm,
Is that they're focused on they're going to win, they're going to make this happen, all that kind of stuff. So the first element is coming to a moment of where you realize that I need help. Then you go, well, how do I go find help? And interestingly, is that what has made us as Trader State of Mind has been YouTube.
mm,
Is the interesting thing about YouTube is that people are searching, maybe not by me by name, but they are looking for solutions to problems they have, and in trading, they're looking for problems resolution, and they get a hold of my, and I have a lot of videos out there.
you do.
And the main thing though is that it comes down to it, people get a hold of it, and I'm coming from an emotional intelligence perspective. I'm not really coming from initially a psychological perspective. I recognize that you and I are not rational human beings, despite what we'd like to think. We're
Mhm,
actually emotional
mhm,
human beings who rationalize. Okay, and you get that, and people start watching a lot of my videos. Emmanuel, they'll do Randy Howell weekends. It's just like crazy. Okay, and again, what they're doing is you're taking a deep dive. They're going, oh my God, this guy is talking about a way of understanding my performances in a way that nobody else is talking about.
mm,
And that's when it starts. And I have actually had I get people every several times a month who contact me and let me know that my videos have made a huge difference, and they've become profitable and all that kind of good stuff. And I'm going, wow, that's really
great.
that's
Yeah.
amazing. So the thing is, it starts there. Is if you go to my website, you discover it's really content rich. There's
Mm,
a lot of articles, there's more videos, and all that kind of stuff. And what I really want people to understand is what the problem is.
mhm,
Unless you understand the problem, you're not the kinds of solutions that you're going to be able to reach for. They're not going to make it until you grasp that your brain just simply is built for a very different kind of survival than what is required for consistent profitability in trading. You do not control outcome, period. You do not control whether or not you win or lose.
mm,
You control one skinny thing: the mind that you bring into a moment of challenge. That's what you do. And you go, well, how do you go about doing that? It's just not in trading, but in sports psychology. I'm a big fan of the Georgia Bulldogs. I almost played there. I graduated from there. I followed them through the good times, the bad times. And when you get around a program like that, those guys coming in, first of all, they're looking at Georgia as a route to go to the pros.
mm,
But what they're also doing is their mamas and daddies are looking at it and going, no, they're going to teach these people how to live. And what you get is you listen to these guys, and these are young guys, 18, 19-year-old, cocky, you know, highly recruited athletes. And what you do very quickly is you start discovering they're out to learn,
mm,
and they're not out to win as a goal. They're out to perform. And you begin to see it, okay, even in sports psychology, they're teaching the same thing. They're reframing what winning and losing is, and what performing is, and what you can and cannot control. And a game of football, the thing is that you have no idea which way that ball is going to go. And so it's just not there, but it's in other domains. And the place where you got to start is with breath. is that the Hindu yogas figured this thing out 4,500 years ago. Okay, is that breath is actually a component of an emotion,
Mm.
because the emotion, most people have no clue really effectively what an emotion is. An emotion to a neurobiologist is a biological action potential. There's nothing touchy feely. It is a biological action potential that when there is a change in the environment, that potential fires,
Mm.
and it fires immediately and is in the bloodstream in nanoseconds.
Wow.
Okay. Now, when you add a complex brain like ours, what happens is that we have a little. There's and at the thalamus there is kind of like a traffic cop that decides whether or not it's an emergency vehicle that has to go really fast, or whether or not it can slow down and go up to the thinking brain and actually get processed out. But if you have what appears to be a threat, that traffic cop is going to see that as an emergency signal. It's going to pass it through. It's going to shut down that signal going to the brain, to the mind, to the thinking brain, for processing, and it goes directly to the amygdala and directly into the bloodstream as fight flight. And that's not going to change because you've chanted a few mantras, you've done some visualizations, you've done some affirmations, you've got this positive self-talk stuff going. That doesn't really matter.
No. You taught me the importance of breath work. And because I think before I worked with you as a trader, most traders understand the process that they go into when they experience what we call a fight or flight, revenge trading and whatnot. And like you said, the breath, because it starts, you get a physiological response when you are, especially when you're trading, when you feel like you're about to lose money. That feeling of like feeling under attack is a real thing, because that's like my body would tense up so much, and just like, and then I noticed and I'm not breathing, right?
Yeah.
So not breathing, and now it's like heart rate monitor. You got biofeedback, because something, you need cues, you need something that's gonna help you stay in tune with the task at hand, because that's the game of trading. So breath is an extremely important aspect to just being able to manage your psychology, just
Oh,
being able
yeah.
to manage yourself. Yeah.
In breath, again, if you start recognizing that breathing is part of any emotion, like anger,
Mm.
requires
Yeah.
where you're stopping air to get to the brain, and it's all the stuff's going to the big muscles for aggression.
As you're
Fear,
saying that, I'm breathing.
yeah,
I'm just, like,
you're not breathing. Well, you're breathing in a style that supports fight flight, and it's quite natural. It's the way the animal that we are is built,
mhm.
and we have to learn to work with that animal nature of ours very differently. But the major thing is to grasp that in diaphragmatic breathing, where you're actually pulling air into the belly, expanding the chest, hold, and releasing slowly. That is the breath signature that is consistent with calm states of mind. And what that means, if you're in a calm state of mind, no matter how, even though fear may come, what happens is that the fear is not going to reach a threshold where it becomes chemistry in the body. That's what breath can do for you.
Mm.
It's powerful. It's a powerful first step, but it's not enough. And in my work, that second step is mindfulness, of where you're actually recognizing a very weird concept, is that you and your thoughts are not the same. You and your beliefs are not the same. That in fact, what you call you is just simply one construction of your potential among many potentials.
Wow.
And there is no I. And you go, wow, you're saying that the observer, there's a saying in quantum mechanics that all reality is observer generated. Okay. And so, particularly from a quantum set level, is what you're recognizing is that everything exists as potential. And the observer of that potential is what brings the form there. if you listen to that, it becomes really powerful. So it really comes is that, okay, it's really about what observer I am that I'm bringing into the game of trading. Another way of saying that is, when I take a look at my trading account,
Mm.
instead of avoiding it and feeling angst looking at it, what is it revealing to me? Because what that trading account is revealing to you is the beliefs that you're hung into about your ability to manage the uncertainty of trading, of life. And it will tell you whether or not the beliefs that you hold are effective at managing uncertainty or not.
Wow.
And what you'll discover is most of them aren't. They have to be reshaped.
That was the case for myself as well, because I came with a lot of, I didn't know the baggage that I came in with until I came in and we unloaded and unfolded all of it. And my question for you now is, you've worked with some high level traders, you worked with some hedge fund, you also work as a performance coach as well. What does it really take to win in this game of trading for a trader watching right now? And they're like, how can I go from where I am to where I want to be? Like, what does it really take? Like, how can they, like, what's it going to take? What does it take to win?
To let go of winning
Mm.
and to focus on performing. That's
Yeah.
Emmanuel. That's the only thing you control is the mind you bring to performance. Now, if you do that, what happens is that you end up your psychology really delivers an edge, but it still only delivers a guess. Okay, and if that guess is wrong and it's going against you, a person with a really a consistently profitable trader is going to be able to see that and say, well, this is not working out, I'm getting out of here. It's nothing personal. Okay, it's just that my guess didn't work. Not like you can't be invested in a hypothesis. It's a guess. It's an educated guess, but it's a guess. And if it's wrong, you need to get the heck out of there. And that is the change of where, I want to win. Well, um, everybody wants to win. But the thing is, how do you go about getting to that moment? Just like I was talking about the Georgia Bulldogs, they don't talk about winning. You don't. If if the coach hears their players talking about trash talking and stuff like, man, all hell breaks loose at that moment. It's all about, well, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at the most powerful performance that we can do. I'm going to really get myself ready to perform really well, because what they're taught is that's what they control. If they want, and back to back national championships is pretty good feat. Okay. But what they're clearly showing you is what it takes to win. And what these boys with the dogs is that what they're learning is powerful life lessons. Is that they're learning about, just because you perform really well doesn't mean that you're going to win, but it does enhance the possibility of you winning. And probably one of the greatest things I ever saw was when Georgia won their national championship against Alabama, and Alabama was up like 14 points and going into the fourth quarter, and Georgia came back and won. And Nick Saban, another really great coach, came up to Kirby Smart, hugged him, and says, "That was a hell of a fourth quarter, man. You owned it." You taking a look at a guy who just lost the national championship. Okay.
Yeah.
But the truth is that, he also had Bryce Young, one of the greatest college quarterbacks ever, and they performed a really great game. And what happens is Saban was very proud of his team. They were fully out there. And when Georgia beat Ohio State, understand it was a 50-yard field goal at time went out that saved the victory for Georgia. The coach at Ohio State comes out and just simply says, "It's a shame anybody has to lose here. This was a great game."
Wow.
So what I want you to do, instead of being a fan that talks the talk, we're tough, rubber. No, the athlete is trained very differently. They're trained that, yeah, of course they want to win, but how do you do that? How do you give yourself the best chance of winning? Preparing the mind for the moment.
Mm.
And that's what, and it's just not Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, um, top athlete. It's traders, it's piano players, it's
Yeah.
all those who have gotten to that zenith level where they realize that everybody's talented.
Mm.
But the key is can you build the mind that prepares you to excel in performance in a moment of
Wow.
challenge?
Wow.
That if you want to know about winning, that's what you focus on. It really comes down to you're on a journey of self-discovery. You're on a journey of self-mastery. And there is no reason to get into trading if you do not want self-mastery as a primary goal.
You mentioning that is powerful because for a long time in my trading journey, that was one of the things that kept me going. You know, the person that I am becoming. Trading was at the early stage of it was very difficult for me. So what I channeled into was personal development. You know, I started to learn just how to communicate, how to learn a little bit more, read more in psychology, human psychology, behavioral psychology, and just evolving as an individual, how to deal with loss, how to deal with setbacks, and how to channel negative energy into positive energy, because when you lose, when you're down, you're not gonna feel good. So how do you pick yourself back up? And a lot of the earlier stages of my trading journey was like that. So now when I experience a losing trade or I have a losing day, I'm like sometimes it sucks, but
Yeah.
most of the time it always sucks. It always sucks. But it's always like, okay, cool. Like you come back another day. You come back another day. And I think that's one of the it's one thing for me that I learned is that the sun will shine again. And I said that to a lot of traders in my live sessions, my community.
I
Like,
bet.
hey, listen, it's like you can have a losing day because they'll watch me live trade, and I'm like, yeah, you can watch me lose today, and but tomorrow they come back, and it's like you watch me win, and that's just the trading game. That's really
Right.
what it comes down to, right? Because it's you're gonna win, you're gonna lose. So I think that it's really profound and powerful that in order for you to win, you have to let go of winning and focus on just the process, the moment, how you are going to perform. And Randy, I am, you know, insanely grateful to learn that that from you, because without that, like I knew it, but I didn't have the process. I didn't know what process to engage
Yeah.
in that would take me there, right? So, Randy, what is like your work right now? How is it evolving for traders who are interested, who want to potentially like work with you, like share your stuff, like where can they find you and whatnot?
Well, obviously, you go to YouTube, type in Rande Howell, and you'll see a lot of stuff there. But our website, Trader State of Mind, is also it's just content rich, and I didn't plan it this way, but it just so happens that uh, our upcoming group course starts August 31st. Okay,
Wow.
and so if you're actually listening to this and going, something, I really need to do something about this. And what I'm finally getting is this guy, Rande Howell, his emotional intelligence perspective rather than a psychological perspective is just interesting. I would look into the group course. Right now I know that we have 7 slots left open for it. We don't like having more than 25 people in the course at one time because we can't really serve the people as well as we should. But
Mhm.
that would be obviously a place where you'd start. And the other thing is that I also have another website, Rande Howell Learning System. It has nothing to do with trading.
Mm.
It's taking this work, moving it into self development, self mastery. And there's 2 books, one that you can get on Amazon and one you can only get at the website. And it takes the trader's work and takes the trader lingo out of it, but it really focuses on how do you apply this work, this process work that I do to populations beyond trading?
Mm.
Because fundamentally, what we discovered is a lot of people end up applying this work to a lot of areas of their life that are not trading. And
Trading related. Yeah.
I get a lot of people who take my course, the trading course,
Hmm.
and aren't traders, but that was the only venue that I had that I could work with them on. So that's coming up. It's a really it's a very new time for us. It's kind of like why a 72-year-old guy is opening up a whole new can of worms is another question. But the truth is that I'm having a really good time, and I'm kind of like you, Emmanuel. Is that you know a number of years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago, um, a guy came to me and says, "Randy, I want to thank you. You have made me a lot of money." And something just didn't settle well with me on that. And and then I had a dream of where
Mm.
I'm looking at my tombstone. And on the tombstone is this thing, Randy made me a lot of money.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah. And what I did, I said, that's not the intent here.
Mm.
So ultimately my work is about self-mastery and about unlocking your hidden potential.
Mm.
That's what my work is, and it really comes out of my own struggle with my own life, from growing up in a really truly bizarre situation to mastering it and learning how to open the door and move to a completely different world. And it doesn't have to be that hard, but it you truly you find out that life is not what you were thinking it was. It's even more exciting.
Mm.
But that's the thing that I would encourage people. Just check out my stuff. And depending on, you can get a free book, you can there's a lot of free stuff in my outreach reach stuff. And you can get Mindful Trading, which is my book on trading. Okay. Um, and that's the start of the journey. And if it doesn't make sense to you, if it doesn't seem right to you, then continue to search. Otherwise, if it starts talking to you, explore more. I don't want anybody as a client who doesn't want to be my client, be a client of mine. That's I'm I life is way too short to try to start selling things to people that they don't want.
Absolutely. My video, I haven't brought anyone on my channel, and like I said before, this is the first time, and you had a profound effect on my trading. And just a quick story for those of you, I had just gone full time, and great couple of months trading, doing it, living high. Life is great, spending money, going everywhere I want to go. And yeah, it came to a point where, things didn't go as well as I wanted because I didn't have the mental, focus that I thought I had to be competing at that level. And, I took a loss of 150,000, 160,000 in the span of 3 months or sure less than that. I was losing like $5,000 to $10,000 a day sometimes. So Randy was pretty much the person that I went to, and yeah, it was a very humbling experience, and whipped me back up, and here I am today, and the journey has been very internal and very spiritual after that. For me, just learning to connect and understanding, what drives me is not necessarily making money, in the market all the time. It's about adding value, feeling like I'm doing something more with my life. Just like you said, you don't want to die and on your tombstone is like, I made you a lot of money. And I think before I had the loss, that was how I was feeling. Whereas like, okay, I'm making money, I'm making people money. Like this it, is this it to life? So I also love that, they're like just the spiritual journey that you have to embark on when you are on your quest.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'll share your stuff now, Randy. For before we leave, what advice do you have for traders out there? Someone who is watching this video and just feeling stuck. They're really, really struggling.
Mm.
What advice can you give them?
Mm. Well, first of all, you're not alone. There, well over 95% of the traders that you're going to meet are losing money, and they're going to be ridden out of the markets in 3 years. That's that's the reality of this business. Okay. The other thing that's really really important is to understand that the brain does not learn from success. The brain learns from making mistakes. So you're not looking to avoid making mistakes. You're looking to learn from the mistakes that you make. And if you do that, like looking at your P&L statement and saying, what's going on here? What's being revealed to me? It will point you directly to the door that you need to be looking at. And I mean that, Emmanuel. It's something where if you start going, let me look at this failure, not as something about me, but as about something about how I'm currently organized psychologically to be able to perform. And it's going to show you that eh, there are 5 self-limiting beliefs that drive everybody's trading. One is they say you equate making money with mattering. Dangerous to give the trading gods that much power over your sense of mattering, your sense of worth. I don't deserve good, easy money, or I have to make a lot of money to be deserving. My adequacy is that something. If I'm making mistakes, that I'm losing stuff, I'm not adequate. I'm not good enough. And the last one, believe it or not, is lovable. If I make money, I'll be lovable. People will love me. And until you learn, and in my work, that spiritual section really starts centering around something that I call inherent worth, is that I'm asking you to find a sense of inherent worth buried deep inside who you are as a human being, that that inherent worth has nothing to do with your performances. You matter for reasons that maybe you can't even comprehend. But it is getting at that inherent worth and recognizing that's the ground to your being, that's the ground to how you construct the self, rather than by making a bunch of money to prove that I matter, that I'm worth it, that I'm adequate, that I'm lovable. That's the main thing, is that let your mistakes reveal to you what you need to learn. And then understand this is that what success does is it locks in a particular behavior pattern. So you have to be careful, because you have to be careful about what you're locking in that responds to uncertainty. But let your mistakes be your guide to show you where you need to look. That's and find good teachers.
Yeah, that's
Find
important.
really good teachers. Every time that I've decided to learn something, what happens is I go find the best teacher I know how to get a hold of,
Mm, mm,
and it's proven it's proven to be a very good investment for me.
absolutely, and likewise, likewise. Thank you. So, thank you, Randy. Thank you for
You're
being on
welcome.
here. It's a pleasure to have you on. Here at LiveFree Effects, and like I said, it's this is kind of like a long time coming. I've been thinking about doing this for quite some time now, and yeah, guys, this is it. Like, it's just, this is the trading game. Trading is psychology. It's very psychological. And if you are going to take your trading to the next level, you have to do the work. You have to put in the work. You have to put in the time. You have to commit. And that's really it. There's really no other way. There's really no other way. Randy, thank you for being on here. For till next
Well,
time.
by the way, I have one comment.
Mhm.
Is that to your audience is
Yes.
Emmanuel was one of the best students I've ever had in my life. He actually wanted to learn, and he took it very seriously. He knew that he had a problem, and he did it quite professionally. And it was very clear by the time we were about halfway into our work that something was really blooming here. And for me, if I were looking for someone to help me, I in trading, excuse me, my you really you couldn't do better. So there you go.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. And that's the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed the interview with Randy. Randy shared a lot of insightful stuff. You might have to watch it a couple of times in order to get some major takeaways. As always, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button on your way out. I'm cheering for you. I am rooting for you. Hope you're out there living free. Cheers.